Red Bull Ring. Awesome track. Not a lot of corners, but really tricky ones. Turn one. It's hard to show you here, so let me take you there. Turn one. You've got two curbs that you really need to take advantage of. Prioritizing your exit because it leads onto an extremely long straight that ends with turn three. Really strong overtaking opportunity, huge braking zone, up a hill, around a right-hander with camber on the inside, so you want to make sure to utilize that, and once again, focus on your exit. Huge straight until turn four. Really tricky corner, this one, and honestly, I think that makes it an even better overtaking opportunity, which is pretty common on this track because all of these corners are pretty good for overtaking. You want to make sure to use that curb on the inside, turn it a bit later than you would think to get on power earlier, and this will lead to turn 6. Funnily enough, turn 5 is basically a straight, and then turn 7 and 8, which are these S's. So I'm going to walk you through this whole sector. Braking on the outside, you want to get pretty close to this curb, but don't touch it, because if you touch it, it will throw you back out to the right. Utilize all of the track on the entry curve for turn number 7 and 8. Tug yourself around, similar to turn 4 right there with the inside curbing, and you'll go firing towards the penultimate corner, turn 9. Super fast downhill right-hander, a bit of a tricky exit, and it leads directly into turn 10, which is another super difficult corner that you have to take advantage of the track limits on. So, starting with corner 9, and you'll see just how much speed you have to carry through. I like to hook my tires on that inside curb. It helps pull you around, introduces more slip angle, makes it easier to stay on track here as you head into the final corner, taking a bit of that apex curbing and all of the exit curbing. And now you know the track. Great thing about this track is you can overtake basically anywhere if you have enough balls. We're starting in P5 for this race. Not where I would like to be. I did mess up my qualifying, and it put us right at the back of this pack of 4 people, all within 1/10 of each other. Actually, like 3/4 of a second to each other. So really close qualifying, and I assume that's going to lead to a really close race. Now, we don't get as good of a launch as P3, 2, and 1, but P4 does not get a super good jump off the line, so we're side by side with him into turn 1, on board with the car behind as P4 looks to defend that position up the inside, but I am able to get on throttle earlier as I have the outside, more track for myself, and that'll give me a really good run, able to actually jump positions, so up into P4 right off the bat as we head towards corner number 3, about half a second behind Roberto, and we do have the car behind pretty close on our tail, so I brake a little bit late, end up going into the back of the car ahead, which is unfortunate because I do get it 4 times, but at the same time, it kind of backed up the car behind me and gave us a bit of breathing room as we head into turn 4, which is pretty important because this is a huge overtaking opportunity. Around the inside or the outside, you can make it work either way, as you can with a lot of corners on this track. That's a pretty good example of how to take that corner as well, really getting your tire up onto that curb, pulling you around into corner number 9 and 10, and this is still the first lap, so we're coming around, just about to finish the first lap, and I'm typically pretty reserved on the first lap. I'm not really comfortable with full fuel and cold tires, so I generally wait a little bit to push, which can cause problems for me in some races, but in this race, it didn't really seem to be too much of an issue. Past P6, it doesn't look like we're really in any danger from the cars behind, and we do have room to breathe in both directions. Heading towards turn 3 for the second time, and the leaders are gonna start fighting. I think I get caught watching a little bit too hard because I brake a bit late, go deep, almost go into that car ahead again, which just would have been horrible to do that twice in a row. Casali, Maximiliano Casali, the car behind, you can see Casali on the side of his car there, gets a really good run, takes advantage, going up the inside towards corner number 4. Now I can look around the outside, and I'm actually going to try it, trying to brake a little bit lightly initially to send my car deep, but I think I sent it a bit too deep because at the apex there, I was not as tight to Casali as I really should have been, and I'll show you an outside angle of that. You can see just how narrow he's entering, and I really should have taken advantage by sweeping closer right at the apex and holding him tight, allowing myself also to get on throttle a bit earlier and take a shorter line, but I did not do any of that. So we fall back down to P5, where we started this race, and Maximiliano is currently a second behind Roberto. I was not upset about losing that position, honestly, because if they can stay attached, if we can all stay attached, it's not a problem. It's a very long race, 17 laps, 15 to go after this one, so quite a bit of time, but I realized pretty quickly that I was having to slow down a bit for Maximiliano. And this could, of course, just be, maybe he's on a bad lap, or he did make a mistake this lap earlier, so maybe that's just bleeding through it. But as well as kind of slowing down for Maximiliano, we're slowly losing time to Roberto. And I made it up in my mind that if I get the opportunity to make this move, I'm going to make it, because I do feel really confident in my pace, especially in slip. And sometimes it takes you getting passed by somebody to realize that you need to start pushing, which was kind of the mindset I'm in right here. Really good run through turn 1, moving to the inside for turn number 3. Turn number 2 is on that straight, by the way. I know it goes straight from turn 1 to turn 3. Up the inside, and it looks initially like Casali is going to go around the outside, but he ends up backing out pretty late into the corner and tucking behind, which is not the way you really want to take that. I couldn't tell if he was trying to let me through or not, because in the next corner he kind of tucks to the inside, maybe trying to mind punt me, but all it does is gives him a narrow entry and a deep exit, so we gain another 10th or 2 there, probably closer to 1, and my attention is fully focused on the car ahead now, which is something I've been working on. If you watch the channel, you notice that sometimes I get around the car and then I get kind of in my head about, oh, he's gaining here, he's losing here, blah, 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 when really I should just be focusing on driving, which is what I'm doing now. I think that comes not only with experience, but also with being really comfortable on the track. This track I had done a ton of laps on at this point. I'd done quite a few races, and by lap number 7, we got over a second gap to Maximiliano. We just put in the fastest lap of the race, which was a 31.6, which is a decent lap, but once I get into slip, I think I can easily launch down into some lower laps than that. Not the best way to say what I'm trying to say there, but I think it got through. Now, chasing down P3, we're just about in slip, a 1.5 seconds away from him, which I would say is kind of the edge of slip on this track, and Maximiliano behind didn't even realize at the time, but he locks up his tires into turn 4 and into the dirt. That's actually a really common place, probably the most common place on this track that you'll see people go off into turn 4. Like I said, it's a difficult corner. You're going through that decompression, and you actually will see it happen later in this race as I kind of cover over what happens to a lot of the rest of the grid. Now, still about 1.5 seconds away from Roberto. I knew this was a gap that I would have to lock in to close, because they're all 3 in a very tight slipstream train. Crossing the line for a 1:31.4 on lap number 10, and as we come across to the end of lap number 10, that gap's closed up. You can see that he's a bit closer to me, and we're going to cross the line once again for a pretty similar lap, slightly slower, but still a lot faster than the cars ahead, a 31.459, so we were running about 0.3 a lap faster than the 3 cars ahead of us, and I assume that gap is going to come down even more, because it looks like P3 and P2 are beginning to get on each other, about 0.3 between the two as they head into turn 3. Not going to make a move yet, but I knew it was going to end up coming, and it looks like P2 went deep into turn 3 there as well. So I'm kind of finding myself in this position now where it's not so much about pushing and getting these amazing laps, but really my focus is I'm preparing to make a move or take advantage of somebody making a mistake right now. And sometimes doing that, you'll actually end up going faster. And this lap is a good example of that, because my focus is purely on this battle, not really focused on my own lap or trying to break any type of records or go faster, really. Just preparing to make an overtake once the opportunity opens up for itself. Not to mention, I have a huge amount of slipstream right now. About half of a second like this is just about peak slipstream. I'd say like 4 to 0.3 is realistically where you're getting the most, but compared to my previous laps, this is a lot more. Very smoothly through the 9th corner, and through the 10th one, it's just going to get even smoother. We could have used a bit more of the exit there, but feeling really solid about my laps. My pace overall, 31.3, new fastest lap of the race. Still running about 3 to 0.4 faster than these guys, and I knew that the battle was approaching pretty quickly. And there's tactics to getting around somebody, of course, obviously. Making an overtake, it can go a lot of ways, but my eyes are still on the leader in the distance, who's 2 seconds away from us. So as far as overtakes go, I'm not looking for any crazy dives that are going to cost us 3/4. I want to get by optimally on the straight and then just get side by side into corner 3 or corner 4. That's the fastest way to make an overtake on this track, and hopefully they don't fire back and start a battle, because catching up from, I think I was almost 2 seconds behind at one point. I think that these guys understand that I have pace. However, it's coming down to the end of the race. Teasing up the inside into corner number 3. Wasn't going to make that move, but he ends up locking up his tires. A little bit of a bump as we go through there, and I think we performed a bit of a mind punt on him there, cleanly taking that position, losing a bit more time than I would have liked to, but what was crucial there is P2 lost almost no time at all, and we're still in his slipstream, so he should soak us up right onto the back of him. And once again, in a situation where I just get past somebody, this is another time where my eyes just go immediately ahead. Looking at the relative, Roberto's a second behind already. Don't know how that happened, but I wasn't paying attention in race, and honestly, it's not worth paying attention to right now. Almost half a second now between Shun Ito, or behind Shun Ito, excuse me, P2, and that slip is going to get into that prime range again pretty soon. We have a few more laps to go. Best case scenario, I suppose, is that Shun really picks up his pace and is able to catch the leader, and then they fight, because if I catch Shun Ito and I get past him, I'm still going to have probably 2 seconds to the leader, and I mean, overall, I'm about 2 seconds away from the leader right now. Shun is only about 1.5 seconds, so it would theoretically be faster for him to catch if his pace turned up before mine, but it didn't seem like that was happening. Lap number 14, his gap hasn't changed at all, and we are slowly making our way towards him, pretty much only gaining time on the straights right now in his slipstream. And with 3 laps left to go, this is around the point where I realize that catching the leader may be a no-go. Shun is very deep into turn 6 there, and into 7 and 8. This is probably my most comfortable sector of the track, really getting and attacking that inside curbing. Unfortunately, I get a bit of a slide as I come off of the curbing in this instance, which will lose us a little bit of time. Now crossing onto lap number 16, because it took us that long to really get back onto his tail. He was very consistently running 31.7, 31.8s, so I had to be on my game, and it eventually seems like it might pay off. Really strong run through turn 1. We're going to bump him once to kind of put space between us, and then soak back up in the slipstream, tuck to the outside. I think inside outside for turn 3 or turn 4 can work. Trying to brake later. He actually ends up braking later than us, and we end up making contact as we turn in. Somehow, despite the contact, we're able to get on throttle. Although we are a nose behind initially, we have a better run. We had that wide line, but I didn't think that we were going to get good enough of a run to stay alongside. And heading into turn 4, it's similar to what happened earlier this race. This time I'm going to really try to hold him tighter, get on throttle earlier, and not push out wide so early, like a bit of a later apex around the outside, and we maintain the side-by-side. I think he may have overbroke there actually, because he was very narrow, and perhaps he thought I was going to look for a switchback. He probably realized pretty quickly that was not the case. He does still get a really good exit, and I think more of us doing anything right there. I think he just made the wrong decision by trying to cover off the switchback up the inside of corner number 6, and we're going to park it on the apex to avoid the switchback. It doesn't even look like he really goes for it, and I think that's the position basically done. All we have to do now is run. There is a full lap left, so we're going to be on the defensive because the slipstream is very strong, especially down those 2 straights after turn 1 and turn 3, and I am well aware of that. A good run through turn 10 could help put a little bit of space between us, which could make the difference in our defense into turn 3 after that long straight, which is really what I think is going to be the overtaking opportunity for him. So turn 1, this can really make or break the entire race for me, because this is the final lap. This could be his last attempt at attacking, and I did not get a great run there. I did not use nearly as much of the exit curb as I should have, and I think I just kind of overslowed on the apex as well. So he's definitely going to have a look at us. It's going to be around the outside as I am staying super defensive, trying to move back to the outside as much as I can into the corner, and I think that scares him off just enough that he turns in really late, too late for a switchback, so he's basically just going to fall in line with us. We stay ahead, and we are going defensive, kind of swerving around on the straight to avoid slip as much as possible, because it could make this is realistically now his final overtaking opportunity, and he is not going to be close enough to make that happen. All I have to do is not fuck up through the S's and through those final corners, which can be tricky when you have pressure, as well as it's not out of the question that you can get a slowdown on a few of these corners if you miss the curbing all that much. So I'm going to play it pretty pretty safe. I'm not trying to open anything up as much as I normally would, which I honestly think is a sign of feeling the pressure. Once I start to drive differently because I want to be safer, I'm probably feeling pressure. And into the final corner, I'm not going to get a great run, but it's enough. And we crossed the line in P2, a really, really strong, like, final 8 laps for us. Our pace turned way up, and we took control, took advantage of all of the situations thrown at us. However, the race was very different in the back/mid pack. We're going to go on board with Geoff Saville, car number 5, who gets a fantastic launch. He's starting a bit further back than I would expect. He is typically a super fast driver, but this race in particular for him, just about everything would go wrong, and he would get to witness all of the chaos. Starting with turn 1, going around the outside of Roxy, car ahead spinning, clipping one car, clipping Roxy. He manages to make it through, and look at this shot of car number 11 just navigating that perfectly. Geoff is almost pitted by car number 14, who's kind of just driving right into the back of him. And again, just real quick, shout out to car number 11. His name is Renee, and that survival skill that he displayed was amazing. Now, in turn number 4, later that lap, there's one car number 17, who's rejoining the track. That's that really tricky braking zone where Maximiliano ended up going off later in the race. And then through turn number 6, another car into the dirt, and Geoff is just beginning to pick up positions left and right from people who are really just driving off the track, and one more is going to come his way, as through corner number 7, this red Porsche just driving to the right on the left-hander, and he'll be out into the dirt. Lap number 4 rolls around, and Geoff is locked in a battle with this guy who he had that contact with earlier. Moves to the outside, and the car ahead gives Geoff the slipstream. Good move by that car ahead. He wants to force a battle between these 2 cars behind him and probably open up some space for himself. They go side by side into corner number 3. Geoff around the outside. It seems initially like 14 is going to get the win through there, but Geoff gets a much better run. However, the car ahead was kind of swerving, giving both of them slip to keep them even. And into corner number 4, they're going to go side by side, and it's just freaking beautiful to see this kind of thing, man. This track is fantastic at allowing battles anywhere. You can go 2 wide through the entire track, side by side still, and it looks like this battle could be one that lasts quite some time, but it's going to be cut short as the car we are on board with just absolutely murders car number 14, driving into the back of him as he was trying to tuck behind Geoff, and he's going to get away with murder there. Geoff is really fortunate actually out of that situation as he loses the pressure from behind, and he's able to chase down the car ahead. Eventually he gets past him, and he ends up fighting with Maximiliano, who was that car that we had to battle with early on. We jumped him in the start, and then he got back, and now he has found his way a bit further back in the pack and fighting against Geoff, who is going to have just an absolutely fantastic sequence of events here. I am just going to let you guys ride on board throughout basically this entire lap because it was fantastic. Maximiliano defending the inside, smart decision. I think the inside does have the advantage here. You can make it work around the outside, but inside will win here most of the time, and Geoff knows that. He's going to back out, stay behind, really just looking for a better run there, moving to the inside to throw Maximiliano there. Maximiliano is going to have a narrow entrance here, and I think Geoff is initially going to look for the switchback, but really good defense from Maximiliano as he parks it right there. Geoff isn't quite going to let that go as he teases a move up the inside, gets into Casali's head. Maximiliano, Casali is his name, blah, blah, blah. And they go side by side. That's going to mess up Casali's exit towards corner number 9. Not somewhere you typically overtake, but Geoff has got him on the inside defending. This could open up a switchback through corner number 9 onto the exit towards 10. Geoff finds the space on the inside. He is a bit narrow through that final corner, but I believe the space was given. Contact is made, and Casali not too happy about that. Not sure if he was intentionally trying to pit him there or if he thought he was clear, but I think Geoff was not taking the chance. He moves to the outside, brakes early, lets Maximiliano through and the car behind. It's survival skills, and Geoff is typically really good at surviving. This race isn't one of those races necessarily. I mean, there wasn't really anything he could do, but you'll see he's going to get mixed up with Maximiliano once again, who I feel like is not super happy with Geoff right now because of that pass through the final corner, which I don't really think was that dirty. But Geoff goes through very cleanly into corner number 4, but that does put him in the targets of Maximiliano once again. I mean, when somebody is super aggressive, the car behind will generally have the advantage as he can just kind of kill the car ahead of him. And heading down towards turn 3 on lap number 12, I think he was trying to spin him there. I think he was actually trying to make contact and spin him the way you would in like oval, and he decides instead to just run into the back of him. Once again, pitting him into the wall and ending Geoff's race. Really, Really shocking stuff there. Wasn't expecting that. I usually have clean races with Maximiliano, but because of that, I want to draw attention to this bonkers, raggedy ass livery that he has on. Fix your livery, Maximiliano. No hard feelings though. Now we finished that race in P2. Here are the results, and yeah, really good race. There's a lot of Red Bull Ring to come. We did set our fastest lap, I believe, so far in that race as well with that slip. Gaining I rating, losing safety rating. Who needs safety rating? Whatever. I already got demoted. I think I'm in C class now. If you enjoyed this video and you want to support me, click on the playlist in the description, the video on your screen, and subscribe.